Unit 1, Formative 2, Day 5. We're going to be talking about variables on both sides today. The one thing we got to remember once we get the variables on both sides is that you could get a normal answer, which is fine, but you could also get two different answers. And those two different answers that we could get are called identity. Okay, and that's when the same number, like 5 equals 5, would be an identity. You could also get no solution. Okay, which would be like 3 equals -7, because that does not work. Okay, so this is when the variables cancel out completely and you're left with just numbers. So when you get that, you have to understand that it's not when x equals 0, because when x equals 0, that is an answer. That's fine. Okay, so that's not a special case. Only when the variables cancel out. All right, let's try some. All right, number 1. So we have 3n minus 5 equals 7n plus 11. Okay, so I still find my equal sign like I was. And now I have to get my variables to one side or the other. Because they're on different sides, I cannot combine like terms. Okay, so I need to move them to one side or the other. So what I like to do is figure out where are they bigger. Okay, so they're bigger on the right side, so I'm going to move my variables to the right side. So how could I move this 3n over to the right side? Well, it's positive, so I would need to subtract 3n. Okay, subtract 3n. We need to make sure we are combining like terms correctly. So the n's can only go with the n's, the numbers can go with the numbers. Okay, 3n minus 3n goes away, and you're left with -5 equals 7n minus 3n makes 4n plus 11. Now that I put my variables to the right side, I need to move my numbers to the left side. So this 11 over here is positive, so we need to subtract it from this -5. And -5 minus 11 is -16. So we get that equal to 4n. The 4 and the n are multiplying, so we need to divide by 4. Okay, so those go away and you get n equals -4. Okay, so that's your first variable on both sides problem. Let's try another one. Number 2, -n minus 24 equals 5 minus n. So you find your equal sign. Okay, those negative n's are actually -1n, so sometimes I like to just draw on those ones so I know what I'm doing. Okay, now I'm just going to move this -1n, so I'm going to add it to this side. Okay, -1n plus 1n cancels. But over here we also have -1n plus 1n, so those cancel as well. So this is what I was talking about variables canceling. So on the left side we're left with -24 equals on the right side 5. So once the variables are gone, there's no more letters. Okay, we say, does -24 equal 5? No, that doesn't, so this is called no solution. If it would have been 5 equals 5 or -24 equals -24, we would have called that identity. Okay, let's try another one. Number 3. Okay, this is where we get into some distributing as well. Okay, so we got to remember how to distribute. Our biggest thing that I've seen lately is we're not multiplying to everything. Okay, so this 2 needs to multiply with the x and with that 6. Okay, so 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times +6 is +12. Okay, if I distribute this negative, it's like distributing a -1. So -1 times +4x is -4x. And -1 times -36 is +36. Okay. Now I got to figure out, okay, where are my variables bigger? Well, I have 2x and I have -4x. +2x is bigger, so I want to move this -4x. Okay, but to move something that's negative, we need to add it to the other side. So we need to add my 4x. Okay, so those go away. And you have 6x plus 12 equals +36. Okay, now it's just like a normal two-step equation. I want to get my x by itself, so I have +12, so I need to subtract that from both sides. So the 12's go away, and you have 6x equals 24. Okay, the 6 and the x are multiplied, so we need to divide both sides by 6, and you get x equals 4. Okay, 90% of the time, you're going to get a normal answer. So don't start putting no solution in identity just because the majority of the time you're just going to get a normal answer. Okay? Try. All right, number 4. 2.5 times 4x minus 4 equals 2 plus 10x minus 12. Okay, so on this one we need to distribute that 2.5 times the 4x and times the negative 4. So you get 10x, remember use a calculator, minus 10 equals 2 plus 10x minus 12. Should have found my equal sign, I apologize. Okay, on the right side, if you look, there's no distributing, but there are like terms over here, the 2 and the negative 12. I can put those together. So I have 10x minus 10 equals 10x. Now 2 minus 12 is negative 10. Okay, now I got to move my x's so they're on the same side, so I can subtract this. I'm subtracting because it's positive, so I subtract 10x. So those are gone, and you get negative 10 equals negative 10. Now if you look, my variables are gone. Okay, they canceled out on both sides, so all I'm left with is numbers. So I look at my numbers. Does negative 10 equal negative 10? Yes, so we call that identity. So if your variables cancel out, it's either a no solution or it's an identity problem. All right, let's try one more. Number 5. 5g plus 4 times negative 5 plus 3g equals 1 minus g. Okay, so on the left side of the equal sign, okay, you have a distributing problem. So 4 times negative 5 and 4 times 3g, you just keep this other 5g out front. So 4 times negative 5 is negative 20, and 4 times 3g is positive 12g, and that equals 1 minus g. Okay, on the left side, now I see I have two different sets of g's, so I can put those together. Since they're on the same side of the equal sign, I don't need to do inverse operations. I can just combine them. So you have positive 5g and positive 12g, which makes 17g minus 20 equals 1 minus g. Okay, now I have more g's on the left side, so I'm going to add this g. It's like adding a 1g. Okay, these cancel. So we have 18g minus 20 equals 1. Okay, now to move that 20, I add it to both sides. So I'm going to put it over here. I get 18g equals 21. Now the 18 and the g are multiplied, so we divide by 18. Now 21 does not divide by 18, but is there anything that goes into both? So we can simplify this. A 3. So this can actually be simplified if I divide top and bottom by 3 to 7/6. And that's my answer. So you can get decimals or fractions or however you want to leave it. Alright, so that's variables on both sides. It's one of the last videos we're going to watch for this unit. It's one of the most difficult solving problems. So once we get this down, we'll be good. Alright, we'll see you tomorrow.